Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk on Pirate Radio. And today, I have a fantastic guest. She is a beacon of joy and the best voice I have heard on the planet. I promise you. Juliet, how are you doing?
I'm good. Now I'm uncomfortable.
Comfortable? You asked me to give you the best intro I could possibly give you. Was that not good enough?
That was very kind. Then. In that case, success you have achieved. Yes. No, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
No problem. And every word I do genuinely mean, because that's the thing. I actually only discovered of your existence, as it were, at TwitchCon last year. Oh. I didn't actually watch any of the run-ups to the Twitch Things final. I was just friends with Shanna, and I went to obviously egg her on. So that was the first time I came across you. And then
she is the best.
She is
so
fabulous.
Funny that's where you, yeah.
So that was the first time I'd ever actually heard you sing or anything. And then obviously I started following you, and since following you, whenever I go to your streams, I'm always like, oh my god, she brings me so much joy. Because there's no way to describe it. Like, I lean towards positive streamers, but not like sycophantically positive, if you know what I mean. And there's just something very pleasant about your stream. So I'm very, very glad to have you here today.
I'm honored. Thank you. That makes me feel good. Thank you.
So I've obviously just explained how I first came across who you are, and therefore I've learned who you are since. But to those listening who don't know who you are, introduce yourself.
My name's Joliet, and I'm a musician. I had given up a lot of music in my life. I used to do it professionally. I was a worship leader in a praise band for nearly 10 years, and we traveled around and played church events and youth, and I did a lot of youth mentoring and stuff like that. And we wrote original music and had a lot of big plans for the future, but it fell through as many bands do. Mm-hmm. And my husband and I decided that was when we wanted to start a family. So I gave up a lot of music, and I really never thought I would go back to it. And it was a big missing piece of my life. I went through major depression and anxiety. Right. After having a baby, is postpartum depression. And I was under the delusional thought that I really was never going to be a singer again.
Really?
Which it's a part of my makeup, but I didn't think I would ever, you get into those places where in your heart and your mind you start to believe the lies that sort of come into your head with anxiety and things.
Of course, yeah. It becomes a downward spiral.
Yes. So that's kind of what happened to me. I do have a very strong faith, Christian faith, and I felt like this might have been something the Lord wanted me to sacrifice in my life, because maybe it had taken up too much space in my heart and I was getting obsessed with it or something, or it was building too much identity, and that, let's say I did lose my voice in an accident or something, like that can't just crush me. I need to have a more balanced, stable view of myself, basically. Right. And so I worked on that, essentially. And I was just so thrilled to discover streaming. And we were watching it anyway, just because it's fun. Right, just because Twitch is so much fun and variety of cool stuff. But then, Twitch dropped this karaoke game, and I was like, well, that sounds awesome. I was already playing Smule anyway, which is a karaoke phone game. Right, yeah. Which was, I guess you could say, the beginning of me kind of making my way back to who I feel I am. And that's a singer. But not like in an unhealthy way.
Of course, yeah. I
worked on that, So anyway, and it's been a year now, actually, since I've been streaming regularly. But I was thrilled to, I had a lot of anxiety at first, like starting streaming. It was really difficult for me. I would have panic attacks if I went live. And it wasn't until I got to know the community a little bit better. And thankfully, the Twitch Sings community is so kind and small and like a family.
It's very intimate in a way, isn't it?
It is very intimate. And I would just spend time in other people's streams and kind of observe how they did things and introduce myself that way. And I would get panic attacks when they brought me on camera and sang with me. Oh, bless you. It was a mess, but I just kind of eased into it over the course of 2 or 3 months. And I've been doing it ever since. And I'm I'm very grateful to have this piece of myself back, but not in an unmanageable kind of unhealthy way, but in a, I'm not trying to like make a band happen. And a lot of times I really felt like I was a workaholic in my band, and I did it constantly. And it just, I felt like we were banging our heads against the wall and against each other sometimes. And so this is great. I only work for myself.
Do you think that's maybe one of the reasons why it's also going so well? Because you're not having to take other people into consideration, and it's just you vibing, as it were.
It's nice. I work hard for other people. That's just a part of my personality, I suppose. I'm motivated by pleasing others. And so I deeply desire to have a partner of some kind. But I'm trying to kind of avoid that because I might get too wrapped up in it, I guess.
Right, of course.
And then ignore what I need or what my family needs, which is sort of a little bit of what happened with my band too. Like, oh, forget my own personal needs right now. The band needs this,
Right.
And that comes around from like just mental exhaustion, staying up, editing music videos all hours of the night, or, agreeing to too many shows every single weekend. It's stuff like that. And then, so now it's a little bit, I just don't want to get too wrapped up in something that's unhealthy for my family again. But,
you do it in moderation.
So this is, yes. So now I'm like, I am no longer tied to anyone. I am a musical polygamist. I plan on having as many collaborative efforts as possible. And the more people I get to work with, the better I become, because you can only get better when you're trying to work, stretching yourself to work with many different types of musicians and singers. And so hopefully I'll become a better songwriter and singer myself as a result. So I have about 3 irons in the fire at the moment for collaborations, but
I was going to say, speaking of songs, I woke up this morning with Heartbreaker in my head. And
no way.
The thing is, it was only the one line, and I think it's where I think it's like, I'm a heartbreaker, you're in my head, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's an apt lyric, because that's the only lyric I remember, kind of thing. And I was just humming it over and over again at work.
That's amazing.
Earlier.
That's amazing. That worked out then. That worked out.
That is a fantastic song, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I worked really hard on my music, and I don't release them very often. I have to feel like I'm going to like this until I die. Otherwise, no one's going to hear it. And the only way for it to be a song that I will like until I die is, how you make creative efforts when you're a kid or a teenager, and you look back years later and you're like, ugh.
Like, what did I do?
What did I do? Let's burn this. Yeah. I don't think these will be like that for me, because there's a combination of they're fun to sing, and musically I'm stimulated. As a singer, I'm stimulated, even though some of them are hard. Like Heartbreaker is really difficult for me to sing in particular. I don't know why I wrote that so hard. And then the other combination is this: I meant what I said. This is authentic.
Yeah.
And that story is going to always be a reality of my history. So I'm never having to fake it. I'm never having to like put on a show. Like, this is just, when I sing this, I'm opening my heart, and you get to see the inside and not close it again.
It's got a relatively mature tone as well. So it's, like you were saying earlier, you don't look back at it as if you wrote a song as a teenager going, oh my God, I was naive as a kid, kind of thing.
Angsty. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's true. I am an adult, and I'll be staying an adult. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's a good time to write music.
So going back to where it all began, were you doing singing like the band thing with your partner as well, or?
Yes. Oh, you mean with my husband? No.
Yeah.
So my husband's not at all a musician. He is, he has wonderful taste in music. And I know that when I write a song and he says, and he likes it, like that is like the ultimate,
right.
The ultimate like satisfaction and reward is, if my husband, who has amazing taste, enjoys my songs. It's not always his genre, but that's okay. I just really look forward to his approval of lyrics and cleverness and whatever else might come out of that.
Yeah, well, that makes sense, obviously, because a lot of the time end up marrying someone in this case, obviously, because you appreciate a lot of their values and opinions. So it would make sense that when they have a high opinion of you, it warms your heart a little bit.
It does. It's very nice. So yeah, he doesn't. So he was, so if you can imagine how much being in another group, pleasing another group of people, where he was not utilized very much because he himself cannot have like a musical input.
Right.
It was really difficult on our marriage. So I'm happy that those days are behind us. And now he just he is my biggest fan, and I'm his biggest fan, but he's such a support.
Right.
He's such a incredible support for me, and he's a technical person. He is a computer person. He built all of our, computers. He researches gear that he doesn't understand to help me figure out how to do it, like this music stuff, this music gear stuff. So he is sort of, when you see a Joliet4 stream, you're seeing me on the cover, like it's my face, but really everything that's going right about it is my husband. And he moderates, he takes care of like emails and things when I'm exhausted and my brain doesn't work. He's responding for me, and he's more active in my Discord than I am.
Right.
It's very much of a team effort. He just handles most of the behind the scenes stuff. And so it didn't used to be like that. It used to be I carried much of the weight myself, me and my former business partners. We were all trying to share those things between us. And it was like, hey, how are you today? I haven't seen you. And he was working like 12-hour shifts overnight. And so I would be on a day schedule and he'd be on a night schedule. And it was a mess trying to exist, trying to connect in any way in general, let alone over these endeavors. But that's much better now. And I think we're in a better, healthier place.
I was going to say, because
it's just me.
You have a lot of all the things that you were talking about earlier. You get that bit of collaborativeness as well, but with your husband who's sharing your passion.
Yes.
Which is fantastic.
Exactly. I'm collaborating
what's that
with
him.
It's amazing.
It sounds great. Yeah,
it's so great.
I kid, because like when I was younger, I was singing and whatnot in a band, and I had an ex-partner, and it felt more like a competition with her.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that's way in the past, thankfully. But yeah, so it must be really refreshing to have, like in any like hobby, not just music, but in any hobby, have someone
just
actually
to be supported, and to know that it's not at all your partner's, like, it's not their passion, but they love you and they support you and your passion. It's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. And I have to say, the song Heartbreaker was written about a competitive first sort of relationship. Right. That my first, that boy, that I gave my heart to, was a musician, an incredible musician who I just sort of worshipped. And so it's nice. It's nice having this relationship. This one's right. This one works. This one's healthy. But I was ruined. I felt like I was ruined for a number of years because of that first relationship. There's a lot of healing that has to take place after something like that. But
it's always the first one that gets you the worst.
Yeah, yeah. And after that, I felt like I could never be with another musician because there was a lot of weird jealousy that went on, and I imagine
it made you probably feel quite jaded about it as well.
Yes. Yeah. That's understatement. But yes, never again. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you then mentioned, obviously, you essentially gave it up for a while. What were you doing between then and Twitch? Because obviously you said you went into different areas.
So for about, I would say my daughter's first 2 years, I didn't do any music at all. I barely had a phone. As a matter of fact, I didn't have a phone for an entire summer. That was heaven and hell at the same time.
I can imagine.
It was nice because there's a lot of time that you spend just sort of breathing, and there's not a lot of noise and strange, going on in your head. that busy head feeling.
Like freeing, but isolating at the same time.
Isolating. Yeah. So I would say I felt very alone. I really leaned into meeting with the Lord every day. Like I leaned into my faith. And that was good and fulfilling. It's like a lot of people would equate it to maybe just meditation. Like this is relaxing and it fills my heart. But I must say I had to do it out of desperate need because I was having panic attacks many times a day. Something I did instead of music was I thought I had every sickness in the book.
Okay.
I Googled a lot of, I became a hypochondriac. I went and had many tests run. Like I thought I was going to die. And if I wasn't going to die, someone else near me was going to die. Severe mental illness was taking place when I wasn't doing music. And my mom came and stayed. She's like, okay, you're going bonkers. So I'm going to come live with you for a while. And that began my like healing process with my mom coming to stay. And, she got us to start visiting churches. She's like, it's not healthy for you to be locked up here. You don't know anyone here. It's been however many, like 2 years and you haven't met anyone. You don't have any friends. What's wrong with you? You need a social interaction. And I was like, nah. So then we went to church and it took a couple, but we found one that just really spoke to my heart. The music was really loud and it was amazing.
Right.
And the worship pastor was rapping on this, like we walked in and he was rapping and I was like, this is home. We found home. This is the church for me. And I wanted to join their worship team. I thought, okay, I see the beginning of my healing. I think I'm going to venture into music once more, but very slowly. Maybe if they'll let me explain my circumstance, they'll be gentle with me.
A lot of trepidation.
Very much trepidation. Also, there's that awful, this is so awful, that anxiety of I'm going to be singing in front of strangers for the first time. These are people that I want to become my family, but they're going to find out who I am in a minute when I open my mouth and do this sound check. And I was trembling. The guitar player standing next to me just put his hand on me like, are you okay?
Oh, bless.
Yeah, I think I threw up after that. But anyway, that finally the newness sort of wore off and everything. But I didn't have any range left when I gave up. When you stop singing and using this muscle, the muscle sort of atrophies a little bit.
Yeah.
So a friend told me about Smule, which is this online karaoke app. It looked really cute and fun and harmless. And so I started singing music on Smule, and I got involved in basically simultaneously 2 different communities at one time. My church worship team community and small group community, and then this phone app community of Smule. And I ended up doing some competitions and just getting to know people, rubbing shoulders, doing duet collaborations for about a year. And and after that year point, that's when Twitch Sings dropped. And I was like, well, this is where it's going to be. I'm going to move over here. And the quality is so much higher, like in general. And then the potential for it to become a job is all, of course, that's why everyone wants to stream, right? You're like, oh, maybe I can make some tips. That would be nice. I can repair my guitar or whatever it was at the time. But so I would say I was crawling my way back out of a black hole of hell where I felt like I had no identity except as a mother. And I'm not saying that because I don't mean to imply that being a mother was awful at all, because it's been nothing but amazing and exhausting at the same time. And I would never, ever give it back.
I imagine quite difficult when strangers are telling your daughter that you said that ice cream was available.
Why did you do that? She perked right up. Wait, what? We also have an ice cream truck that comes by. Or were you talking about an ice cream truck? I can't remember now.
No, an ice cream truck went off in another conversation, but then
that was a different conversation.
I could just hear your kid in the background. I was like, "Mummy says she can have ice cream.
She can have an ice cream.
Bye."
Yes. And we literally did not have ice cream at that moment. We still don't. But we had a cookie, so that worked. That sufficed. That was very tricky of you. But yeah, it's, I kind of forgot the question, but
So
what I was doing in between. But yeah.
So
being a mom, like a lot of women have expressed this, where you kind of go through an identity crisis because it requires so much of you physically, mentally, spiritually. You really must be almost this bulwark of like togetherness, and it's vitally important that you are, because there's a small little human that needs you in order for them to survive, and you have no choice. You must become this thing, this mom. And I was not at all prepared for what that meant and what that was going to require of me, which might speak to how spoiled perhaps I was before.
I don't think, to be fair, I don't think anyone's ever prepared. Because, like, when you, like, personally, as a 32-year-old man, I don't intend on having children. It's a decision I've made, and I'm just not going to do it. But obviously, being someone that's expressed that, I have had the friends come over and go, Bryan, children are wonderful, kind of thing. And it's all you ever hear. It's always the positive bits. It's always the good stuff. They never go, but here's all the nightmare that comes with it, kind of thing, you know?
I will absolutely never be that person, because I think I walked through a nightmare in order to hold and cuddle heaven. Does that make sense? I saw a comment on YouTube today. I don't remember what the video was I was watching, but someone said having children is having one foot in hell and one foot in heaven at the same time.
I can imagine.
It's so strange. Your capacity, like, I remember being pregnant and like looking over at my cat, whom I worship and adore, and thinking, how could I ever love something more than this cat? And I had a dog prior to that had passed away recently. And I never thought my heart would heal, you know, like, and it doesn't. You don't really recover from that kind of that kind of loss. But I really wasn't ready for like, what it means. I suppose what happens, the change, the sort of metamorphosis that your heart takes on. It's sort of like the Grinch at the end of that movie when his heart grows.
Yeah.
Your capacity, it's like someone once said, your capacity to love something grows, but also your fear grows. Your capacity for resentment grows. Like all of the things get bigger.
Just the fear of attachment.
Yes, very much. So all of that stuff just kind of that's the sort of thing that changes. But what knocked me down and kept me in sort of was that identity, like, this is the most important thing in the world right now, is keeping my daughter alive, and then trying to be you have to have some sense of identity for them to grow and develop in a healthy way. You can't just be a shell that feeds them and sleeps next to them. And
for sure. And that's something I've admired in a lot of my friends who are mothers, because you get, without sounding obviously like detrimental towards like any mothers, but sometimes you get them who their identity is being a mother, and they lose a lot of their aspects of their personality and things like that. So it's a huge temptation to give yourself what you have to.
You have to become that for at least those infant years.
Yeah,
that's it. Like you almost have no choice unless you have a ton of help. And I did not have any help.
Yeah.
Besides my husband, and then when grandparents would come visit, but we didn't live near anyone, and we weren't plugged into any communities that we would have a babysitter from necessarily. Very few.
Right. And I imagine it's easy to just get stuck in that hole where you repeat that kind of responsibility, that identity of being a mother all the way through until they're an adult.
Yes. Yeah. Some women they come alive when they become moms. And that was not me. It's a personality difference. But yes, it's something they've wanted from day one. They want to have lots of kids, and it really does define them. And then their identity crisis happens later, where their kids are all grown up or they're unable to have anymore. Right.
Yeah.
So,
and then they're like, who can I be a mum to now, kind of thing. And it's like, you can still be a mum, but you can also have time to do everything else, which is wonderful when they, take up the opportunity. So I always very much admire my friends that have kids who manage to do all of that, and then do all the things that they want to do at the same time. Like, one of the reasons I don't want kids It's because I don't have the time. Like for me, it sounds selfish, but I like money. For one, I like having money. I like having space. I like having time. Yes. And I know if I had a kid, I would probably have a bit of resentment there. And I know that would make me a horrible father. And that's one of the reasons I've never wanted to be a father. So I always have a lot of respect for when people do go the distance and then do it so well. And also
I do too. And I also kind of wonder, like, that sounds really fairy tale to me, having walked through it myself. But I realize now it's just different personalities handle situations differently or better. And I have to question all of that. Like, are we, I don't know. So anyway, I don't want to dig into that too much, but I respect you for knowing yourself and drawing a line and making a decision, and saying, this is the reality of who I am and what I want in life. And, despite what, I don't know how if you have any pressure from family, but I know a lot of friends that do. And that's kind of why they give in maybe to having kids and making a family, or doing that whole white picket fence idealization.
No, thankfully I don't have anyone that pressures me.
That's good.
Yeah. So how did you actually come across Twitch then? Was it something you were already aware of whilst you were on Smule, or?
Yeah, I was, before I discovered Smule, Twitch was something, my hubby and I are both gamers. Right. We were very active in our World of Warcraft guild for several years. And then we moved to Diablo 3 and just kind of played things here and there off and on. And so the primary people he would watch on Twitch, I actually don't remember, but what turned me on to it was this guy called the French Stallion.
Right. Okay.
Do you know who that is? No?
I don't, but that name.
He plays, isn't it great? Okay. He plays Rocksmith, and he has this crazy setup. Like, he's got walls of the most ridiculous looking electric guitars. Okay. And he just stands there, and he's this very engaging, adorable person. And he plays, just people make requests. They pay money and request that he play certain songs on Rocksmith, and he shreds that guitar playing Rocksmith. And I was like, yes, this guy. Right. So that's kind of how I started like watching it a little bit, was to watch his stream. Okay. And then No Man's Sky, the hype around that was very enticing. And we got that game when it came out in I think it was 2016 or something, wasn't it? No, 2018.
It was around about then, like 16, maybe 17.
2016, 2017. And I was like, well, I'm going to live stream myself playing a bit. I think I'm interesting, whatever. And it was a complete bomb. But yeah, I streamed like twice in 2016, myself playing No Man's Sky when it first came out. And that was like in the little tiny spurts where my daughter was napping as an infant. Right. And that's kind of where Twitch started for us. But it wasn't until a game happened that I felt I could do well at, like a karaoke game, right? That I got serious about it.
Did you stick with No Man's Sky as a game at the beginning?
I played No Man's Sky for many months. We dug pretty deep into it. We tried playing with friends. I remember. And then we tried again, like when they came back out with the new things, like we would download all the modifications that people were writing scripts for the game, like things that we were promised in No Man's Sky that didn't happen, like really, really, really big things, like really big trees and dinosaurs. And like there were these packs that you could that the community had made that you could download to make the game. So we would keep coming back for those reasons. And I don't know, I loved it. I found it really relaxing, like just scanning creatures, naming my own planets, finding mysterious stuff. I liked it, but it kind of got old after a while. So we quit.
I know where you're coming from on that one, because like I never delved into No Man's Sky myself, but there are games where it is somewhat mindless, almost like Diablo 3. You just click and kill all the demons for days. But like I've played Terraria, where I'll just build a house, the poops and giggles, as it were. And same with Ark. Like usually once a year, I'll go, okay, let's go back to Ark. I've not touched it for 12 months. Let's come back.
Ark was free the other day. I think
it was free.
It was free on Epic Game Store, I think. Am I thinking of the right one? Anyway.
Well, it's the survival
Go on.
game where you build like anything you want, especially with mods again, and then you get attacked by dinosaurs and stuff, and they try to eat you.
That sounds
or poop on you, one or the other. But yeah, like once a year, I'll just binge it for a good solid 2 weeks, and the streams will be like 8 hours at a time, and it's just me staring at the screen and just like building a giant castle or something. And then it's like, okay, what are we gonna do? Well, I'm kind of bored now, so we're just going on to another game. And it's like, what? You just built the castle over like the space of 2 weeks, and it's like, yeah, I don't need the castle anymore. Let's move on.
No, I've done that thing, and I can move exactly. When I was a kid, I would play with dolls or My Little Ponies or whatever, and I spent the entire time setting up a scene, and then I would never really play out the scene. The important thing was dressing them up and putting them in a place, and then I'm done.
Yeah, building the scene, lots of fun. Enacting it, don't need to do that.
I've already played that out in my mind. That's how I am in Minecraft. Like, I'll have this huge epic plan for, I'm still building one right now, as a matter of fact, this glass sort of enclosure.
Right.
And it's like a big greenhouse. And the minute I'm done, I'm going to be done. I've built my dream house that's impossible in the real world. There it is.
It's like, can we play in it now?
I'll load it up and show people. No.
You're like, no, we've built it. That was the good bit. Now we're leaving.
That was it. Now we're leaving. It's over. That's cool. So yeah.
Obviously, that's how you came across Twitch. Then you dove in. Of course, you were mentioning your first few streams. There was a lot of anxiety, felt sick, and things like that.
I did. So you can play the Twitch Sings game offline. And so I tried my hand, and I didn't have any fancy equipment. I had like a $2 conference mic, like the kind you team speak into when you're raiding.
Yeah.
And I was just singing into that. I was really coming from Smule, where we have a lot of preferences we can adjust. There's a lot of choices. Like if you want to sing, Lovely by Billie Eilish and Khalid, then you have like 17 choices basically. And that might be an exaggeration for that particular song, but you can pick the acoustic version, acoustic piano, acoustic guitar, because people are allowed to upload their own tracks.
Okay.
It is illegal, but they do it anyway, and who cares? Yeah. And most of them don't have like background vocals, whereas the karaoke, the very karaoke version of all the tracks, pretty much are neglected on Smule. People don't go for them because, anyway. But on Twitch Sings, that's all that's available to you. And so at least it had been at the time. I think they're getting a little bit better about it now. But yeah, I wasn't super impressed with that part of it. And I had to just tell myself like, oh, right, this is a brand new game. They're already at this incredible like level of gameplay and UI. And it's just going to get better because this is Twitch, and they're going to do the best that they can with this and put effort into it. And so I dove in and I started opening songs, and then I would go listen to my duets, and I was incapable of listening to the duets.
Right.
I got a lot of anxiety. Just if anyone complimented me in the smallest measure, I would want to throw up.
Right. Okay. So about that intro.
Yeah, sorry. I know. Yeah. But it was a lot of, I don't know how to describe it exactly. Like, people are very kind when they say, that I have humility, but I think it's really just fear that you're wrong. Right. You don't know what you mean. That can't be true about me. That kind of thing is probably deeply, if you were to psychoanalyze me, I suppose that's probably deep in there. But the response of like, I can't live up to this. This is, you think too much of me. My hands would get sweaty and I would start to shake and have breathing problems. And, that happened a lot.
Which I can understand, because obviously the harshest judge is nearly always yourself.
Yes.
Unless like you're an arrogant swine, but like for the common person, it's usually yourself. So I can appreciate where you're coming from with that. And of course, I've noticed at least that within the Twitch things, like I never take part, I just occasionally view. But even then,
Thank you for viewing.
No, it's my pleasure. But as an occasional viewer, you do notice how very kind the Twitch Singers community is, which I'm not saying is a bad thing by any means, but they know how to put a lot of it on you, and I can imagine it can be like, oh my god, the expectations, please back the hell up, kind of thing. Yeah.
It's rough, I know. And if I didn't have if I didn't have my husband just kind of being like, it's just for fun. If the minute this is not fun, the minute this doesn't fill your cup, the minute it takes from you more than it gives to you, we're quitting.
Right.
And just having that like freedom through him, you know, especially saying something like that to this day after we've invested a lot in like new equipment and things, and into a community that we love. That is the that's the only way I can keep doing this. And I love, and maybe I have a little bit of a feeling of, you know, when you say my stream is positive and it brings a smile to your face, like that fills my cup too. That makes me feel like I can keep going if that's really what this is. If this is some sort of ploy to get people to worship me, I'm done. Like I can't do that.
Yeah.
It needs to be a platform where I lift other people up because, and that's another thing, like, being a singer my whole life, I have encountered my whole life people who, find so many flaws in their voice that they literally cannot enjoy singing because, you know, of one reason or another. And I think that is a criticizing travesty. Themselves. Yes. And so I don't know, I guess I've kind of made it my mission, I suppose, on my channel to just remind people that this is yours. No, it's no one else's. Your voice is yours and you should be able to enjoy it. And if you love a song, if you know, whether you can, you know, according to society, carry a tune or a career out of it, doesn't matter. The first requirement should be that you enjoy yourself and don't worry about anyone else. And so I think Twitch Sings is the perfect place for, especially since the community is so loving and caring. Maybe, and maybe we're complimentary to a fault, but for the most part, I think that's a safe place for you to build confidence. And your confidence will spill over into other things in your life. Maybe going into that interview at work that you're really nervous about. Or if you start streaming and you're nervous at first, you know, maybe that will make you more confident about meeting strangers or walking into an AA meeting, you know, like stuff like that, where the confidence can spill over and make you stronger in all aspects of your life. If you can feel like you can just enjoy yourself.
So almost like a cheerleading squad in the back of your head. It's like, oh, well.
I hope so.
You know.
Yeah.
Pokey QMC 69 said I was really dope and I feel dope. So let's go be dope. Kind of thing.
That's right. You get it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, precisely.
It was like you're saying, as long as you're enjoying it at the end of the day, it's nice to have that freedom where you can, if need be, stop, never do it again, but not have regrets at the same time. It's a cornball thing to say, but it's the journey. Like, by all means, have your goals, aim, shoot for the sky, fly over the moon, hit the sun, bounce off into Jupiter, do what you can. But as long as you have a good giggle getting there, and even if you don't get to where you want to be, you're still enjoying what you're doing at the same time, and that's what matters. You see a lot of streamers who are like, I need to do this, these are my goals, and then when they don't achieve them, it almost destroys them. And I've been there. It
destroys them.
Like, I've had peaks and lows, and I've bounced off walls to side, and occasionally something flops, and I'll just be like, oh. But then I'm like, well, no, never mind. Next video, next stream, kind of thing. Let's get on with it, kind of thing, and have a giggle.
Yeah.
So it's nice to know that you do this thing on Twitch where you're singing, and you're singing your heart out. I always notice that you put a lot of passion into it, and it's never just like, oh, I need to sing again, oh, for God's sake, kind of thing.
I mean, sometimes.
Well, yeah, like, sometimes someone might pick a song and you're like, not this song again, maybe, kind of thing.
Creep, don't make me sing this song ever again.
Yeah. But no, it's like to put a bit of honesty onto the plate, as it were. Like, obviously, I've met you through Twitch, as it were. I am a bit of a git when it comes to who I want to associate with, or who I want to follow, who I actually spend time watching. Like, I'm very, very picky. And a lot of the streamers that I stream that I view, rather, that I watch and support, are people who are in one way positive, but it's not over the top positive. It's not like the birds are singing, the trees are swaying, it's a beautiful day, let's go for a walk, kind of thing. It's just people who, like yourself, I described you as a beacon of joy. When I come into a stream, You're not like, hi everyone, be good, be excellent to each other. You're just fun to watch. And the act of watching you sing and talking to your viewers, your laugh alone brings me joy. Whenever you laugh, I'm like, oh, just laugh some more, please, kind of thing. No, it's fantastic. When you called me a tool the other day and just started laughing, I was like, that's fantastic. I have never been so happy to be called a tool. I love this. It's great. It's fantastic.
Sorry, I called you a tool.
No, well, to be fair, I did.
No, you told my kid there was ice cream. You're a tool.
I did. And I do
No,
apologize. So it's nice and refreshing to see this sincerity where you just come into a place where someone's having fun and it doesn't feel put on, you know what I mean?
Good.
So there you go.
Thank you. Yeah,
okay.
no, that's good. Because I do wonder, like, should I make more statements? Should I? And I see other streamers do that where they really make an effort, like, for self-improvement. And I just, I don't really know anything about that. I just want to smile and have a good time. And I feel like there's a lot of pressure to be in when you're a streamer to be on.
Yes.
You know, like that on switch. And something that one of the major differences, by the way, just between Smule and Twitch Sings is that Twitch Sings does tend to be very positive because people are on camera. We're having a good time. Karaoke is typically a good time.
Yeah.
But Smule is not. Like, there's a lot of people going there for therapy. Like, I picked this song to send out into I have done this I do this myself. I have picked this song to open and I'm putting it out into the universe because I literally feel this way. And this is catered specifically for somebody. Where on Twitch Sings, you just open as many songs as you know.
Right.
It's not a very like personal choice. Like also, the songs are available for 90 days for people to join you, where on Smule, they're available for 7 days. So it's a very different mindset.
Yeah, I imagine on Twitch, it's I'm here to entertain or be an entertainer, rather. Whereas on Smule, it's like, this is for me, I'm just going to open up. And,
yes.
You know, it leads to things being a lot more morose and whatnot.
It is very much more. Then there's a live aspect to Smule now, too. And if you walk into someone's room, that's kind of what it's like. It's not necessarily a positive experience. It's more like, especially with COVID and, you know, or people have received bad news or they've had a loss in their life. Like we all get on camera and cry together. Like that is, it's a lot more somber in that world. I don't know where I was going with this, except that I've noticed that about streaming is there seems to be a pressure to have high energy and, you know, just if not entertaining in some way, whether you're a positive streamer or you're or you're a jerk,
right?
It's
a show on Twitch, where it's on Smule. It's more about you and an outlet.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Right. So obviously,
I don't know how to balance that myself exactly with Twitch Sings, but I'm glad to hear from you though that just having a good time and you know what's hard, I guess, is tackling these really what should not be but are divisive issues in our world today.
Yeah.
Even taking a political stance on something or a religious stance on something. I think the push to be entertaining and to sell your product, the product of your channel, because people really are out there spending money on it, that puts pressure on you to kind of stay neutral and not have an opinion or not take a stance against evil, basically. Yeah. And that's kind of something I think we all battle. Like, no, this isn't, like, especially with the Black Lives Matter movement or LGBTQ rights. Like, we really need to make a stance, and we need to make our voices heard and use our platform for that reason. It's not entertaining to talk about this necessarily, but since you're all here,
I mean, I hate the term, but it's who we are at the end of the day. Is we are influencers. We do have influence, regardless of size. You do have an audience who invests trust in you at some level. Even if you're one of those streamers who is a complete tosspot kind of thing, people still agree with the words that come out of your mouth, and you do foster a community. And you have two choices as someone who starts to look at your stream or your content as a business. You can either be neutral and net everyone, get as many people as you can, or you can follow up with your convictions, even be a bit more sincere, let's say, because you are following up with your convictions. You are saying, right, Black lives do matter, trans rights are human rights. And then you will naturally pull in people that believe that same ideology, as it were. So personally, I lean towards the latter. If someone comes into my channel and is like, oh, politics, I'm like, well, piss off then, it's my channel kind of thing.
Right.
Like at the end of the day,
change the channel.
I do want to grow as a content creator, as an influencer, but I want to grow with people that I want around me at the same time.
That's a wonderfully put. Yeah, that's a very good point. Exactly.
Speaking of growing, so you went from this woman who is very shy, suffering from anxiety, to nearly winning 20 grand on the stage.
That was
San Diego. How was that?
Weird. I did a lot of CBD oil. We found this place that puts them in gummies. It was great. I had like 6 that day. Yeah, that was wackadoodle. I have been a performer since I was a kid, whether it was it's mostly at school, you know. But then also I'm used to being on a stage and having kind of ownership, I suppose, of myself and the song as a soloist, like for church.
Right.
So I wasn't so much. What's funny is the size of the audience at TwitchCon was maybe smaller than some church experiences that I've had.
Okay.
So yeah, so I wasn't so much worried about having to perform as I was doing a good job in my performance, because as I said, like I'm still working on getting my range back. Like, all of my body's different after giving birth. Like, these muscles aren't in the right place and things, you know, like stuff like that.
Hormones
and much less breath support. Like, I think my lung capacity is like, what happened? Like, something moved. I don't know. To create life. What the heck? But yeah, like, I was really like, how can I just want to blow people away. Like, what would make me the most proud of myself? And I had actually participated in a group version of the song River on Smule.
Okay.
So I must give credit where it's due. I didn't just think, oh, this is a great song. I was taught this song. Right. And I got a lot of amazing input from those friends in my Smule community. And then I was just like, and I practiced myself walking around my house. Like, I'm going to practice walking and jumping and singing at the same time because I have no lung capacity. I'm going to build up stamina. I'm very grateful to Twitch Sings for making me go first in the qualifying sort of final round, finalists.
You did round, like set the standard. Like I said, I'd never watched any of you. Like, I knew Shanna could sing, obviously, because I've been to her stream.
Oh, she's incredible.
But yeah. I sat there and you came on stage, and I brought a few of my friends with me. There was 4 of us, I believe. And I was in awe. My mouth was just like hanging down the entire show, like for you, everybody. And I was like, I didn't know this was a thing. Like, I knew Twitch Sings was a thing and it was a contest, but the talent that day was phenomenal.
Unbelievable people. Yeah, I rubbing shoulders, and then I got to hang out with the finalists like a lot during TwitchCon. It was so much fun, and just getting to know everybody. But the incredible and the diversity of talent, just everyone's backgrounds and where they came from and what they had experience with. I was definitely the oldest, but it was very fun. It was really fun. And I'm glad that thank you for saying that. I'm glad I impressed you.
No, like, your stage presence was fantastic. Like,
thank you.
If you allow me to be a little bit critical of the other singers, everyone else was very on the spot. You had stage presence, and that was one of the great things about your performance. You were all over, you dominated the stage, which was fantastic. Everyone did great. But I was particularly impressed.
I appreciate that. I tried. I did lose breath at the end, but I tried. And I wanted that to be something to other, after the fact, like the incredible response that I got. Like, I got memed. I got memed on Twitter as people made gifs
the gunshots
of my little handguns.
Yeah.
Yes. What a flattering experience. I'm so grateful. And now it's one of my emotes. Like, it's too funny. But I hope that what that does is it unlocks confidence and like just ballsiness for more people to do showy, like entertaining, like I could sing, I guess, but like also let me entertain you is kind of where I wanted to go with this. So I'm happy that worked out.
Would you do it again?
Oh, I don't know.
See, I asked Shanna that same question, and she was like, I don't want that pressure. I want to develop my music and go more into it. But she wants to go down a more independent route rather than, trying to win a competition, be stuck with a label and stuff like that.
Well, it wasn't, I don't know that Mermaid was signed to Columbia. I think they agreed to record a song with her.
Really? Oh.
That's right. So whether they wrote it together or it was one of her originals she already made, and a music video. So a song and a music video with Columbia. But the thing is, she would rub shoulders with all of these people in the industry.
Right.
That's what I imagine the draw. That was what the draw was for me was. So I'm a songwriter and I don't see myself necessarily being some rock star on MTV.
Right.
But I want to meet these industry people because I have songs they might want for their artists.
Right. Okay.
I would love to hear Bishop Briggs slay Heartbreaker. Okay, that's the ultimate for me. That is the dream job. And I can still just do whatever I want on my stream. Like, that would be great.
So you want to be more part of the creative aspect rather than the showy aspect? Yeah,
I mean, maybe I'll never get that breath control back. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's exhausting. And I wouldn't there's a certain touring, takes a very big toll on you. And it's much easier when you don't have any attachments to your family for you to give yourself over to a career. And especially when you look at groups like, for example, Pentatonics, they were on a reality show and they won a competition.
Is that where they came from?
Yes.
I just thought they were a YouTube thing.
No, they were on the Sing Off, I think is what it was called, where they find a cappella groups essentially. That show did not last, but they were, I think, the most successful group that came out of that reality show. Yeah. And so, but the reason they were so successful was a very strict, rigorous touring schedule. And
I can imagine.
Their bass, Avi, it takes a toll on all of them, but he wanted out. And so he left after a while, but I just see myself going, I don't know if I could do that either, especially with my kid as young as she is. She'll only be tiny like this for so long. I want to just enjoy that. I am older. I don't know that I can fake it for much longer. So the relatability factor probably will come into play at some point. But yeah, I feel like that's not, I would much rather, and the success would be easier to enjoy if not so much was demanded of me, I suppose.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I don't have any kind of, of course, performing like that at TwitchCon was freaking amazing. And I would love to do it. If they asked me to do something again, I would absolutely do it. Hopefully hopefully they would ask me to play my originals, because that's what I'm really passionate about. But
I would genuinely love to see that rather than covers. Like, that was one thing that confused me a little bit with the Twitch singers.
With Columbia's participation.
With that as well, yeah, because the way it was kind of sold to the audience, at least the audience at TwitchCon, was like, you'll get this deal. And obviously that's a very specific word. It is very vague, rather.
Yes.
Specifically vague, I suppose is what I'm trying to say. When you first hear it, like, oh, wow, you're signing with a label. But obviously that wasn't the case. But also, so you had to pick a song and then specifically do it in the style of someone else? Or was it just they asked you to point out it was in the style of someone?
Right. It depends on the song and the artist. Something that they had to do in order for us to perform the songs we did at TwitchCon was to seek out a very specific commercial license that would allow us to perform the song. And a lot of times, like when Laura Loft did My Immortal by Evanescence the first year, Amy Lease wanted to know who she was. Right. Like, that's how the red tape that had to be cut in order for her to be able to perform that song.
Right.
And those artists, of course, and me speaking as a songwriter myself, I would love for you to maintain my original intent in my song. Don't change my lyrics, you know. And so the tracks that are available that we have access to licensing for, you're not just going to be able to do an acoustic version of this. You have to do it just pretty much just like they did. The license I took was to add a rap during the bridge. And so hopefully that nobody had a problem with that. I haven't been sued yet, so that's good. But as far, you kind of have to stick to the original intent. You can't have too much creativity besides maybe the musical choices that you're making in the song. And so what is it about that performance that makes you interesting to a place like Columbia Records? And the answer is, I don't know. I think this is Twitch's first game, and they're pulling out all the stops to make it as successful as possible. And so the hype surrounding a competition like this is very important, and that prize has to be interesting enough
you need
to draw people. Yeah, exactly. And it's no small prize, $20,000.
Oh no, hell no! I was again shocked by that alone.
Yes, like, well, I don't know where this is coming from, but please, yes.
Amazon.
I don't know if this is taxable,
Amazon.
but please, yes, yeah. So just amazing. That prize is incredible, and it's certainly enticing. And it's the same kind of, I think, doesn't the Raj, I forget what his show is called now. I think he rebranded himself, but he totes a lot of money to the winner of his talent competition here on Twitch. And so that's a huge, of course, that's you could make some dreams come true. And let's imagine that when Mermaid works with Columbia, that they will see her for the potential that she has and for all the talent that she has and her youth and her personality and everything that she could be a voice for in our society for, anyway, like, hopefully they will see that and it will be her big break, you know?
Yeah.
And that's worth
like the whole foot in the door thing, isn't it?
Yeah, for real. Now, but of course, now you're going to, would I do it again? Here's the thing. I think I would like to see a lot more diversity on that stage.
Yeah.
I would like to see diversity winning that competition. And I would rather be appreciated for my original music, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Like, as someone who not just streams but creates content but does art every now and then, like I do occasional art streams and whatnot. I do my own emotes and stuff. But I was an artist from a young age, and in high school, one thing we had to do through our what we call GCSEs in the UK, which is the qualification you get to find out, or the qualifications that you get to find out if you're good enough to go to college and university eventually, is through art. They go, right, you need to study an artist and then mimic them. And it's like, wait, what? Why would I want to mimic someone else? Surely the point is to enhance and better my own skills and my own artwork. And it's like, nope, you got to pick someone. I hated that. So all the coursework that was involved, I sacked it off. I wasn't bothered about it. And I ended up just using art as an excuse to make art at the end of the day. So I would hate to have such a restriction in another creative outlet such as singing or making music. So definitely would love to see people come into their own and make their own original music, especially when they, I believe, have the license to do that, because that's a sync license, I believe, or an ACAP license, which Twitch has, where you can broadcast your own content. So I don't know why they haven't done that yet.
I'm not sure that it could be they don't feel there's enough draw for that, or there's enough quality content for that. I'm not sure. There could be a lot of reasons. It could be very difficult if you can't narrow it down to a genre. I don't know. It could be like America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent. Like it could be really diverse if they wanted it to, so perhaps. But also, let's not forget, they're promoting this new game that they just made that really needs to be successful.
True.
And so I think that's the motivation. It has to help the overall project that Twitch has in mind for Twitch Sings.
So obviously, you say it's got to be successful. Is there a more commercial, like aside from like obviously the viewers seeing ads and things like that, Is there more of a commercial aspect to Twitch things that I'm not aware of? Or 'cause obviously it's free as far as I'm aware, isn't it?
So the thing that it does that helps Twitch is it draws streamers, and streamers can bring their own audiences from whatever corners of their life, and that brings more viewers, and that rolls in more money.
Right, okay.
That is
makes
the
sense.
point of Twitch things. Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's the point of Twitch,
Yeah.
I should say. And so this game, in order for Twitch to continue giving resources over and employees over to it to support this game, we need more people in it. It's still a very small community. So we just need to market, and that StreamStar competition and throwing it on the front page is a huge way for them to be able to get the word out, and then people hopefully will come try it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And hopefully we've created a good community to receive them. It could be that it's too kind, and that's why some people don't play it.
Essentially, some people want the salt, don't they, at the end of the day?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So we talked about where you've come from and where you are. Joliet, where are you going?
Where am I going?
Where are you?
That's a good question. Well, I did mention that I would like to sell my songs. I would like to see artists record them.
Yeah.
So I have thankfully, I've made a couple of friendships that I think I'd like to tap into once I get a longer repertoire of music. I'm very picky. I've got 4 songs out right now, and that's it. It's been like a year on streaming, and I only have 4, but I'm very proud of them. And there's more where that came from. Hopefully I'm just being very slow about getting them out. But I would like to have a whole catalog of music that's available for artists to record. And that would be my dream, is to collaborate with signed artists and other songwriters and kind of get into the industry. That's the big dream. That's the beyond aiming the highest I can dream.
Outside of Twitch, have you done anything to work towards that then, or?
Yes, so those are the relationships I'm referring to.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So my I have a little bit of an in, a little bit. My dad was a professional songwriter.
Okay.
And I grew up in Nashville, and I have a little bit of insight on that. Most of his connections in the industry are not working in the industry anymore, but those are still people that might know other people, and I can maybe tap into that. And then I did have the pleasure of meeting that A&R person for Columbia through the Twitch Sings StreamStar competition.
Right, I see.
And then on top of that, I have a couple of friends that are actively in the industry at the moment that I might be able to ask questions of, or send them my songs. Can you show this to Ariana Grande? Thanks. Or whoever, assuming they know anybody. That would be cool. That would be my ultimate dream, is to kind of just become a songwriter. And then for myself, I would love. My dream is to just go around and tour little coffee shops, and my plan, once COVID is under control and we can all see each other again, is to find out where collections of my viewers are, and then take myself to those places, sort of streaming the whole way, even stupid little roadside shops to eat dinner, just like making content out of the trip, the journey itself.
Yeah.
And that's my dream, is just to kind of road trip it a little bit, like take a couple of weeks at a time when my daughter's old enough and I can leave her with a grandparent, if that ever becomes a luxury for us. And then, maybe me and another musician, maybe, or whatever. I would love that. I have kind of a plan of, and then, so on top of that, since my viewers are also my duet partners on Twitch Sings, whatever venue I'm playing at, I can make sure that whoever is going to be there, I can play a song that they can join me on stage and sing with me.
That would be very cool. That's peak Twitch interaction.
Yeah, for sure. So that's like a big part of my heart, is just I'd love to meet everyone first of all, but then I want to perform at these coffee shops I want to do, or bars, or whatever it is, and then have it be there's a participation aspect to it with my audience, who are also musicians. So I would love that. I would love to collaborate with more artists on Twitch, and also just from people in my personal life. I have this plan started of maybe doing a wedding business where I can personally write songs for people's weddings.
Okay.
and perform them. And that would draw attention to my originals and maybe traffic to my stream as well. Yeah. And I think that would be fun. I love innovating. I love doing this live duet thing. I'd love to tap into that with even more, in a more robust way, with like a full sound, not just me and somebody with an acoustic guitar, but maybe also live looping from totally different locations, but being able to do it together at the same time on Twitch without any latency.
Right. Yeah. We're getting there. We're getting there.
We're getting there. Yeah. We can do it now. It's just my poor duet partner has to put up with the delay.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I think that's kind of where those are my sort of long-term, also hopefully short-term plans, like as in they're going to happen soon.
Do you put anything on YouTube in terms of your originals?
I have 2 of my 4 originals on YouTube right now. I haven't put all 4 of them on there yet. That's something that I'm looking forward to as my daughter starts to go to go to school full time. Is having more time to create content and actually be a better streamer, be a better content creator.
It's so time consuming, especially if you go into YouTube. Like I actually started with YouTube and I wanted to make gaming news videos and stuff like that. And I enjoyed it, but a 15-minute video would be an 8-hour day of editing and recording. And you'd know no greater pain than recording for an hour only to discover the microphone was not turned on. You're going to bash your head through the wall, throw yourself out the window. Oh my God. And, it's incredibly stressful, especially obviously if you have the commitments, i.e. a child, or myself. I have a full-time job that I have to work at the same time.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I can very much appreciate the starvation for time. Like people have asked me, like, if you could have anything, what would you have? And I'd be like, more time in the day. I'm the idiot who sleeps for 4 to 5 hours a night because I want more time in the day and I don't want to go to bed yet. Give me a 30-hour day, please, kind of thing. I would love that.
Yes, I would love that too. I agree. I'd probably find a way to misuse it.
Yeah, it's like, yes, I've got my 30-hour day. Why am I on my phone for 7 hours of it? Kind of thing.
Yeah, right, exactly. I know, but yeah, I feel like once my kid is in bed, this is my me time. So it's very difficult for me to balance recharging myself through something like a Netflix binge or, I don't know, whatever. And making time to write new music, and that's my priority. You can be the best singer in the world, but if you don't have good original songs, no one will remember you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of okay, that's my priority. My priority, unfortunately, is not editing videos for YouTube. Maybe I can if the Lord were to bless me so much with my stream, perhaps I could maybe hire someone to do that.
Well, it's a possibility.
I'm trash at it. I did the whole YouTube thing with my band.
Right.
We weren't check mark verified kind of a thing, but man, that I know the amount of tutorials that I ingested in order to figure out stuff like After Effects and all of that editing. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, but it does take a lot of time and I can't do that again. Nope.
Yeah, it's very time consuming. And then after the editing, you've got to upload it and render it, which means your computer doesn't do anything else unless you've got a stupidly powerful one, of course. But yeah, and you're like, okay, this is going to take my computer out for an hour. I'll go make a sandwich then, I guess, kind of thing. So yeah, it's incredibly time consuming. But on top of all that, you're also teaching yourself the guitar, I believe.
Yes, guitar and piano. They're little challenges. I try to give that disclaimer in my music and performing arts stream. Look, I'm okay at the singing thing. It's just look out for it. But the more you play and the more I do it, every time I stream, I get better and better as an instrumentalist. And so hopefully I'll be able to incorporate piano at some point. But I'd like to also learn beats, like Ableton beats and stuff. I'm touching my beat pad. You can't tell because this is an audio podcast. But I'm stroking my Ableton launchpad. Anyway, and I'd love to incorporate all of that stuff. There's a lot to learn to make my music streams more entertaining and more interesting. Just for me, not even, I love my viewers, but my first priority is to please myself and have a good time.
Oh, for sure.
And then hopefully that'll spill over into what people are watching. I also have that luxury though, like because my husband allows it and he takes time off of work to watch our daughter so that I can do this. I realize I'm very spoiled.
But at the same time, you are taking on a lot already, and you're obviously doing very well with it. Like, I've got 2 guitars that have collected dust for the past 2 years. One of them is quite expensive, and I barely touched it. I want to, but at the same time, it's streaming, working full time, sleeping 5 hours a day. Occasionally, I'll take 2 days off to see friends and things like that. I used to be an incredibly social person as well. So everything takes a hit, and it's like, well, do I have time for this? Do I have time for that? Do I have time to just relax? Like, something I've been doing recently is, it's quite funny because I am an avid reader. I read books, many books. I literally own well over 1,000 books. Not necessarily in paperback, some are in ebook and whatnot, but I like my books. But with everything going on, obviously I haven't had time to read them. So I was like, okay, I'll give Audible a go. # not an ad. And gave it a go. And I was like, okay, I can listen to this whilst I do other things. And I really, really, really like it. However, I can't focus on what I'm listening to because I'm busy doing the other things. So I stop doing the other things. And then I end up either sat in my chair listening to the ebook.
Reading it with your eyeballs.
Exactly. Like, when I got the first book, I spent 8 hours in my bedroom, just laid in bed in the dark, listening to this book with my eyes closed. It was a fantastic experience. It was the first book of the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson.
I don't know that. I don't know that.
It's read by Michael Kramer, who's got a very baritone voice. It's quite grisly, but he puts effort into changing his voice for the various characters. And it was a very different experience to reading a book, and I do thoroughly enjoy it. And now I kind of use that as my wind down. Like I will go into my room. I wear one of my bandanas, like it's allegedly a Japanese style one. It's just a giant like scrunchie, to be honest. But I wear that over my eyes as a blindfold and just shut off and listen and like chill out and essentially meditate. And it's great.
Yes,
but then I'm not doing anything.
That story. I see. Yes.
Yeah.
I loved all the Harry Potter books as read by Jim Dale.
Right.
I realized Stephen Fry also did an audio version, but what was available at my local library was the Jim Dale version, which I, of course, like ripped onto my computer. And I kept all of them. And I would listen to those in the car on like when I was doing gigs and I was traveling to these. One of the things my band did was we played for just tiny little country churches that couldn't afford us.
Right.
And they like fed us and paid for our gas. They were so sweet. But these little sort of deprived youth groups and these kids who don't ever get to have big acts come through town, they have to travel to like an hour out of their way or whatever, and then pay a ton of money to see a major act. And so we would go and we'd play. And then on those trips, I would travel solo because I lived farther away from my other band members. But yeah, that's where I lived. That's where I got into audiobooks, and they were a gift from God. So I didn't fall asleep on the highway during an 8-hour drive. Thank goodness for audiobooks. But I totally feel you. Like you need to have that wind down, and you just have to figure out what that is. And then maybe rotate it when you get tired of it or you finish a book, then pick up that guitar. But if it's causing you frustration, again, it has to give to you more than it takes from you. And it takes a minute to figure out what that is for yourself.
Plus, I've got fabulous nails at the moment, and I would have to get rid of the fabulous nails.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you can't have nails to play. Well,
not on the fretboard, at least.
Right. Right. That's
hold down the strings.
Clink, clink.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel that way. I chewed my nails my whole life, which is gross. And then my teeth started falling apart, so I gave it up. But I keep them very short because of piano so that I don't have that clackety clack clack. Right. And now I almost like that sound. Like it's almost ASMR.
It is, to be fair. Like one of the reasons I actually grow my nails is because likewise, if I get bored or stressed, I would start biting my nails. So I started putting the varnish on them. Like I've always like worn eyeliner and nail polish, like because I'm a massive emo apparently since I was 16.
You wear it well.
So I wasn't particularly like, it was never something that bothered me. But I started wearing it again more frequently, so I didn't bite my nails, and then they started growing, and then I stopped smoking, so I needed something to keep my hands busy, so I'd start filing them, and then they got pointy, and then I was like, this actually looks quite nice, and then it would tap things. And I'm like, oh, this is so great and versatile. It's ASMR. It's like, here's my phone kind of thing. And then it's like, oh, but my guitar. And it's like, but the nails. How could I betray my nails? Kind of thing.
I wish you could just like turn them off, like,
Yes.
and then do the thing you want to do, and then turn them back on. But
mean,
no, we don't live in Ready Player One world yet. So
Yeah, I know, and I could get fake nails, but I think that would be a lot of effort. And at the end of the day, I get a lot of compliments about them. People are like, are they
They're
real?
amazing.
And I'm like, yes, they're all me.
they are real. Yes. I think that's amazing. I'm jealous of the time that you have, or not the time that you have. I'm jealous of the time that you make to read books and ingest new books. I used to love reading, and then I feel like I haven't really had time to enjoy them lately.
It's become a recent thing because, like I was saying, it got to the point where I wasn't reading anymore. I'd stopped reading for months, and I was like, I miss books, which is why I dove into Audible. And that first book, I consumed all 24 hours of it within, I think it was like 36 hours, like in 2 days over the weekend. Yeah. I listened to the entire book. I'm now on the third book, and I'm still in the free trial stage of Audible. So there you go. But we'll close up there. Thank you so very much for being on the show today. To our listeners,
thank you for having me.
I will be putting links to your social media in the description of either the YouTube video or Spotify or all those things. Do you want to just give yourself a quick shout out?
You can find me on Instagram. I'm Joliet and then the number 4. And then I'm Joliet4 on Twitter. And yeah, I'm also on YouTube as Joliet the number 4. I'm on Twitch, Joliet number 4. And if you have that karaoke app Smule, I'm Joliet_TV. So yeah, those are all the places you can find me.
Fantastic. Well, thank you once again for the show, and thank you to our listeners for listening in. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.